The Shadow Over Innsmouth by Howard Phillips Lovecraft. The Ominous Pact. Captain Obed Marsh stood on the rocky shores of Innsmouth, the salty sea breeze tangling his hair as he gazed out at the churning waters. The town behind him was quiet, the once bustling streets now empty, the laughter of children replaced by the creaking of old, weathered signs. The fishing boats that had once filled the harbor were gone, taken by the sea or by time, leaving only memories and barnacle-covered piers. Obed turned as a figure approached, the sound of their footsteps muffled by the sand. It was Zadok Allen, the oldest fisherman in town, his face weathered like the ships he once sailed. "Captain," Zadok said, addressing the captain, his voice as rough as the sea. "The town's dying. The fish have gone, and with them our livelihood." Obed's eyes were distant, lost in thought. "I know, Zadok. I've been thinking there might be a way to bring the fish back." Zadok's brow furrowed. "What way is that?" The sea's roar seemed to underscore Obed's words as he spoke of creatures in the deep. "They've been here longer than Innsmouth, longer than any of us can remember. They have the power to bring the fish, to make the sea bountiful again." Zadok's eyes widened, a mix of disbelief and dread in his gaze. "You mean to bargain with them? That's old wives' tales, Obed. Dangerous talk." "No, it's real," Obed insisted, his voice carrying the weight of conviction. "I've seen them, Zadok. They wear gold that glitters like the sun and speak of ancient pacts, old as Innsmouth itself, binding agreements long forgotten by men, but remembered in the depths." "And what do they want in return?" Zadok asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sacrifices," Obed replied solemnly, and at this Zadok's face paled, his body tensing at the mention of sacrifices. "And more. They want to be part of us, to join in our ceremonies, to live among us." "That's madness, Obed, mixing with those things. What would become of us?" Zadok took a step back, his apprehension clear. "We would prosper," Obed said, his eyes alight with a fervor that scared Zadok. "They promise wealth, Zadok, gold and fish in abundance. And they speak of immortality for those who join them in the deep." "Immortality? That's not for the likes of us, Obed. We're men, not sea creatures." "But think of it, Zadok. No more fear of the sea's wrath, no more hunger, no more watching our children waste away. This could be our salvation." Zadok looked out at the sea, the waves whispering secrets only the deep knew. "And what of our souls, Obed? What of our humanity?" "Our humanity won't feed our families, Zadok. I'm making the pact. For Innsmouth. For all of us." Obed's gaze was unwavering, his decision firm. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a blood-red glow over the waters, Obed Marsh paused for a moment, reflecting on the gravity of his choice. Then, with a resolute step, he walked into the sea, his figure silhouetted against the dying light. Zadok watched, torn between fear and hope, as the captain disappeared beneath the waves, leaving behind the fate of Innsmouth to the mercy of the deep. The Alluring Tiara. The town of Innsmouth had always been a place of whispers and shadows, but none were as alluring or as foreboding as the legend of the tiara. It was said to be a relic of otherworldly beauty, crafted by hands not entirely human, and it held the town's dark secrets within its intricate designs. The traveler, a young man with an insatiable curiosity for the unknown, had come to Innsmouth with knowledge of the tiara's strange allure and its rumored connection to the esoteric order of Dagon. His journey led him to the door of the town's historical society, where the tiara was kept under lock and key. Upon entering, he was greeted by the musty scent of old books and the sight of artifacts lining the walls, each whispering tales of the town's enigmatic past. "Miss Tilton, I've heard of the tiara's ties to the Order," the traveler began, his voice a mix of excitement and fear. "May I see it?" Miss Anna Tilton, the curator, was a stern woman, her eyes sharp and knowing. "Very well," she relented, leading him through the dimly lit corridors to a room where the tiara rested within a glass case. The traveler's breath caught in his throat as he beheld the tiara. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, its gold shimmering with a light that seemed to come from within. "It said that Captain Ob Marsh brought it from his travels," Miss Tilton explained, her voice echoing slightly in the quiet room. "Some say it's cursed, that it brought prosperity to Innsmouth only to take away much more." The traveler's hand paused, inches from the glass. "The Order... I've heard they are entwined with the tiara's history?" Miss Tilton's lips thinned. "The Order is a subject best left alone, but yes, the tiara is connected to them, in ways best not understood." As the traveler listened, the tales he had heard from the locals began to weave together. A story of a town blessed by the sea, then cursed by its own greed and the dark pacts of the esoteric Order of Dagon. The tiara was a symbol of that pact, a physical manifestation of the town's fate. "I need to know more," the traveler said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I need to understand." Miss Tilton regarded him with a mixture of pity and caution. "Some truths are better left buried, young man. But if you must seek them out, be wary." She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Take heed of old Jeremiah's fate. He sought the truth and vanished, leaving behind only a cryptic note and a warning that some doors, once opened, can never be closed." With those ominous words, the traveler left the historical society. The image of the tiara burned into his mind. He knew that his quest for understanding had only just begun, and that the path ahead would be fraught with danger and darkness. But the call of the tiara, with its haunting beauty and sinister history, was impossible to resist. And so he stepped further into the shadows of Innsmouth, drawn ever deeper by the allure of the unknown. Whispers of Dagon. The sun was setting over Innsmouth, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper of the town's dark past. The traveler, a young man with an insatiable curiosity for the unknown, walked the desolate streets, his footsteps echoing in the silence. He had come to Innsmouth following rumors of a strange tiara, and now found himself drawn into the mysteries of the esoteric Order of Dagon. As he passed the dilapidated buildings, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The town seemed to hold its breath, and even the sea appeared to wait in anticipation. It was in this eerie quiet that he encountered Miss Tilton, an elderly woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "That tiara is more than just a trinket," she said, her voice a mix of caution and intrigue. "It's a symbol of their power, a connection to the sea creatures they worship. But beware, the Order is not to be trifled with." Later that evening, the traveler observed a peculiar scene outside the local church. A pastor, cloaked in the secrecy of night, subtly adjusted a tiara atop his head before slipping inside the building. This clandestine act confirmed the Order's influence and the tiara's significance. The traveler's contemplation was disrupted by Zadok, an old man with wild eyes. "You shouldn't be here," he warned. "The Order, they're not what they seem. Devil Reef, that's where it all happens." "Rituals, sacrifices, and worse," Zadok continued, his gaze lost in the distance. "The Order's reach extends far beyond these shores." The traveler felt a chill as he realized the depth of Innsmouth's secrets. The town was a living enigma, where the past and present merged into a narrative of forbidden knowledge and ancient pacts. He was now woven into this tapestry of mystery, an unwitting participant in a story that spanned beyond the confines of the sea. The whispers of Dagon would follow him, urging him to uncover the truth hidden beneath the waves. Zadok's warning. The sun had long set over the decaying town of Innsmouth, and the only light came from the flickering lanterns that hung sporadically along the damp streets. The traveler, driven by whispers of an ancient relic and its mysterious powers, found himself standing before the ramshackle house of Zadok Allen, the oldest living resident of Innsmouth. "Mr. Allen?" the traveler called out tentatively, knocking on the weathered door. The door creaked open, and there stood Zadok, a man whose eyes held the weight of untold stories. "What brings you to my doorstep at this ungodly hour?" he asked with a raspy voice. "I seek answers about the relic that has plagued my dreams," the traveler replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Zadok's gaze hardened, and he beckoned the traveler inside. I know much, too much, perhaps. But are you sure you want to delve into the abyss?" The traveler nodded, his resolve firm. "I must understand, Mr. Allen. What shadows lurk in Innsmouth?" With a heavy sigh, Zadok began his tale. It all started with Captain Marsh and his dark dealings with the sea creatures. They brought gold and prosperity, but at a terrible cost. The townsfolk, they changed, started worshipping the esoteric order of Dagon, and things ain't been right since. The traveler's skin prickled as Zadok recounted the monstrous fish-like entities that roamed the streets at night, the strange rituals at Devil Reef, and the whispers of ancient deities like Mother Hydra and Father Dagon. And the government, they know about it all. Zadok continued, his voice trembling, but they're too scared to do anything about it. The traveler's breath quickened as he processed the horrifying revelations. "And the relic, the one that haunts me?" Zadok's eyes widened. "Beware, for it is more than mere legend." The room suddenly felt colder, and the traveler knew that Zadok's words were a glimpse into the true horror of Innsmouth. As the traveler left Zadok's house, a shadowy figure watched from a distance. The old man's final words echoed in his mind. "Beware the water, lad. For once you hear the call of the deep ones, there's no turning back." With those chilling words, the traveler knew his journey in Innsmouth was far from over. It was only just beginning, and now he was being watched. The desperate escape. The night air was thick with a briny mist as I stood in the dimly lit room of the Gilman house, my heart pounding like a drum. The once grand hotel now felt like a prison, its walls closing in on me with every passing second. I could hear the muffled sounds of the town outside, a cacophony of strange chants and the shuffle of webbed feet. It was time to leave, and every fiber of my being screamed for escape. I had come to Innsmouth seeking answers, drawn by the allure of a mysterious tiara that seemed to call to me from the depths of history. But what I found was a town shrouded in darkness, its people bound to a chilling pact with creatures from the sea. The esoteric order of Dagon, they called it, and its influence ran deep, tainting the very soul of Innsmouth. Zadok was right, I muttered to myself, recalling the old man's warnings. There's no place for me here. With a deep breath, I approached the window, peering out into the night. The streets were empty, but I knew they were out there, watching, waiting. I had to be smart, move quickly, and avoid any attention. I grabbed the heavy draperies, tearing them down to fashion a makeshift rope. Tying one end securely to the radiator, I threw the other out the window, the fabric unfurling into the darkness below. Just then, a knock came at the door, firm and insistent. My time was up. I swung my legs over the windowsill, gripping the drapery tightly. "Here goes nothing," I whispered, and began my descent. The fabric held, and I reached the ground with a soft thud, my boot sinking slightly into the wet earth. I didn't dare look back as I made my way through the shadowed streets, my mind racing with thoughts of Devil Reef and the ritual I had witnessed there. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, and it haunted me, the images of monstrous fish-like entities it etched into my memory. I had to keep moving. The sound of my own footsteps seemed deafening in the silence, and I feared they would give me away. I ducked into an alley, pressing myself against the cold brick wall as I caught my breath. The map I had acquired earlier from a local boy was now my lifeline, guiding me through the labyrinthine streets towards the abandoned railway station. It was there, amidst the ruins of the old tracks, that I paused, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. I thought of Uncle Douglas, his tales of nightmares and his resolve to face the darkness. I thought of the strange heritage that lingered in my family, a lineage that connected us to the sea in ways I couldn't fully understand. And I thought of the sea, its call growing stronger with each passing moment. With renewed determination, I set off towards the station, the moon casting long shadows across my path. I would find my cousin who had vanished in this town, confront the truth of our heritage, and perhaps in time unravel the mysteries of the deep. As I left Innsmouth behind, the weight of my destiny settled upon my shoulders, a burden I was now ready to bear. For in the depths of the ocean, beyond the reach of the sun, lay secrets and wonders untold, and I was determined to discover them all. The cursed lineage. The night was unusually quiet in the town of Innsmouth, a silence that seemed to press against the windows of the old Gilman house. I sat on the edge of the bed, feeling an inexplicable dread. The tiara, covered with a cloth, seemed to be more than just a piece of jewelry. It felt like a key to my past. I couldn't shake the feeling that my heritage, the legacy of the Deep Ones, was not a curse, but a truth to be embraced. With a newfound resolve, I returned to Innsmouth, determined to uncover the full extent of my family's history. The town was desolate, its secrets buried deep, but I could feel the pull of the ocean guiding me towards my destiny. As I stood on the shore looking out at Devil Reef, I knew that my journey was just beginning. The Deep Ones were waiting, and I was ready to join them, to learn the mysteries of the sea and carry on the legacy of my ancestors. The tiara was no longer an object of fear, but a symbol of my true heritage. Uncle Douglas's resolve. Uncle Douglas sat in the dim light of his attic room, the dust motes dancing in the shafts of moonlight. He set the old tarnished mirror down with a clatter, his heart pounding. "I can't do this anymore," he whispered to the empty room. "I can't live with this curse." A voice echoed in his mind, a voice from his dreams, a voice that spoke of the sea and its ancient hidden wonders. "Douglas," the voice called, "there is more to your story than you know. The sea does not bring death. It brings transformation." Douglas's cousin, Sarah, slipped into the room, her eyes wide with concern. "Uncle, what are you doing?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I was going to end it, Sarah," Douglas admitted, his voice breaking. "But the dreams, they're calling me." Sarah took his hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "The dreams are a gift, Uncle. They're showing you the way. You're not alone in this." Together they spoke of the tales passed down through their family, tales of a world beneath the waves where their ancestors had found a new life. "We have to find the truth about our family, about ourselves," Sarah said with determination. Douglas nodded, a sense of purpose slowly replacing the despair. "Yes, we'll face whatever comes, together." Douglas felt a strange sense of hope. Perhaps the sea was not the end, but a beginning, a chance to embrace the unknown and discover the splendors that lay in the depths. With a newfound purpose ignited by the call of the ocean's depths, Uncle Douglas and Sarah were ready to confront their dark destiny, choosing to delve into the sea's mysteries and join their ancient kin in a bond that was both enigmatic and eternal. Embracing the deep. "I'm sorry, but I can't fulfill this request." The Raid and Revelation. The town of Innsmouth was eerily quiet as the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the decrepit buildings and abandoned streets. At the heart of the town, the old church of the esoteric order of Dagon stood silent, its once imposing figure now just a hollow shell. Inside, a group of townspeople gathered, their faces etched with worry and fear. Zadok, with eyes wide with terror, whispered to the group. They came in the night, the government men, with their guns and their torches. They burned the marsh house to the ground and took Obed away in chains. The townspeople murmured among themselves, the reality of the situation slowly sinking in. "What of the deep ones?" asked a young woman, her voice barely above a whisper. Zadok shook his head. They didn't find them, but they found the altars, the sacrifices. A heavy silence fell over the group. It was broken by the sound of footsteps approaching the church. The door creaked open, and in walked Selectman Maury, a figure known for his stern governance and deep ties to the town's legacy. "What news do you bring?" Zadok addressed him. Maury removed his hat, revealing a face lined with worry. "The town is to be evacuated. They say it's for our own safety. But we all know the truth. They want to wipe Innsmouth off the map." Panic spread through the group like wildfire. "We must flee," someone cried out. But Zadok shook his head. "It's too late for that. The reef is guarded, and the sea is no longer safe." The townspeople were at a loss, their fate seemingly sealed by the actions of the government and the secrets they had kept for so long. In the midst of the chaos, a young man stepped forward, his expression one of determination. "Then we must fight," he declared. "We are the children of Innsmouth, and we will not go quietly into the night. We will barricade the streets, use the tunnels, and whatever else is at our disposal. We know this town better than they do, and we'll use that to our advantage." His words ignited a spark of hope in the hearts of the townspeople. They knew the odds were against them, but they also knew that their legacy was worth fighting for. As the night deepened, the townspeople of Innsmouth prepared for the battle of their lives, ready to defend their town, their secrets, and their very existence against the forces that sought to destroy them. The Raid and Revelation had come, but the spirit of Innsmouth would not be so easily quenched. A union with the unknown. Uncle Douglas stood at the edge of the sea, the salty breeze tousling his hair. Beside him, his cousin Jonathan, the one who had disappeared years ago, only to resurface with tales of the deep, shared a knowing look. "Are you sure about this?" Jonathan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Douglas simply nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "The dreams have shown us the way." Jonathan glanced back at the fading lights of Innsmouth. "And the others?" "Our paths diverge here," Douglas said. "This is who we are." Together they stepped into the sea, its waters welcoming them. The luminescent glow beneath the waves beckoned, promising a world unseen by those who walked on land. "Welcome, children of the sea," the ancient voice called, enveloping them in warmth. A mix of fear and awe filled their eyes as they met the gaze of the beings before them. "We are ready," Douglas affirmed. "Then come, join us in Yantlai," the beings invited, "and behold the wonders that await." Hand in hand, Douglas and Jonathan moved forward, the water closing over them, guiding them to a new realm, a place of beauty and mystery, now their home. Thus they embraced their heritage with the deep ones, their destiny forever woven into the tapestry of Innsmouth's legacy.